Hello, it's time for Type 40 with extra Type 40 content with me, Starry-Eyed Girl, and this fella here, Dan Hadley. Hello,
Thank
Dan.
you, Sarah. Good to see you on another toasty day, unexpectedly toasty day, isn't it?
Yes, it's a bit warm.
How's your tan coming along?
It's good. Yeah, I've got tan lines, so yeah, we're doing well. Very white on that side. So yeah, I need to work on it.
I actually do go a sort of light brown. People are always surprised when I say, "Oh, you've caught the sun. You've got a tan." I think, yeah, I do occasionally leave the house. I can't escape my bunker.
Yeah, no, the people think geeks don't leave the house. Yes, we do. Well, I usually go bright pink, then red, and then back to white. But so I'm actually enjoying having a little bit of a bronze about me.
The principle that I live by is look out the window each morning and sort of get the general gist of how it looks and take it as it comes, really. Because I haven't listened to the weather people for years and years and years. Although I do use the thing on my phone now to sort of give me a general idea, at least about whether it's going to rain or not in an immediate 12 hours. And it does help as a runner.
Well, I never watch it because I always end up laughing at the diagrams behind them. And every summer it's always bright red for heat. I'm like, well, we've always had heat waves in summer. It's not. It used to be like just orange and yellow, but now it's red.
When we do see something large and orange sort of hovering in the middle distance, we get very suspicious, don't we, that all is not well?
Yes, we do.
Is that just Doctor Who fans? I don't know. I mean, several weeks now without Doctor Who on TV in our lives as a living, breathing thing. The word is still pause. I'm hearing another word, come to think of it, hiatus, for the first time in decades. I don't know whether this is all sort of a bit previous, but these are the kind of words that they still hit the scar tissue, certainly for any 80s kid. And I think if you've read up on Doctor Who history or sort of spent time chatting about all this stuff, it brings to mind a time, Sarah, where Doctor Who fans were left to fend for themselves, find their own amusement in the early to mid 80s there. Some of us got on better than others.
Love that.
Some of us fared better than others. It depends on how resourceful you were and how long I think that each of us wanted to spend sort of moping about it. Really, I mean, it was shocking at the time, but then again, we live in shocking times.
Yeah, there's that much going off. There always seems to be something out there either to watch or read, or there's some big news or scandal. But yeah, obviously the word hiatus, it's not a traumatic word for me as such. But it is disappointing. It's not what I want at all. I want it to come back, but obviously I want it to come back as in a format that I'm going to be able to watch and enjoy. And so if it needs that little rest and it needs time for people to find somebody who's going to look after it properly and bring it back with the respect it deserves, then I'm kind of the mind of just take as long as you need, and I'll just go and do other things. I can, I'll just fill my garden with bird feeders or something. I don't know. I'll find something who related or just geek related. I mean, obviously Superman's out this week. Yeah, there's a lot of other stuff going off with. So I'm not at this stage. I'm not really that concerned.
I'm becoming ever so slightly obsessed with Superman. I'm a DC guy anyway, and so it's like, yes, at last this has to be our time. It's undoubtedly been Marvel's time for 17, 18 years, or at least it was for a big chunk of time, and now DC are kind of on the way back, it seems, both in print and in movies. So I've become ever so slightly obsessed with the new Superman movie. So I've come to connect with you for another conversation, sort of midway between me deciding which cinema I'm going to go and see it at, I'm an absolute nightmare, Sarah, by my own admission. I'm terrible when it comes to this stuff. I'm really, really picky. Where am I going to see it? What time of day is it? Am I likely to get interrupted by people who refuse to come off their phones? The hype, it's definitely building around it, and it's been marketed really, really well, hasn't it? I mean, particularly when you compare it to how Doctor Who was marketed or not marketed this year, it's stark contrast.
Oh yeah, it's complete. It's worlds away. Yeah, I'm a big Superman fan. I've never read the comics, but I grew up with the Christopher Reeves films and the Dean Cain, Terry Hatcher series. I was obsessed with that for a time. Superman, it's that coziness and that that joyful. I think leave the angst to Batman. That's kind of his. And I know this.
No, you're right.
Crossover. But
well,
yeah,
the Superman myth is always changing, Sarah. As it continues, it gets refined, and some things become part of the legend as it moves forward, and other things sort of fall by the wayside. But one of the things that's been sort of added into the mythology imprint in the 21st century is the idea that the Superman symbol that you can see on his chest or in yellow on his back now in the new movie too, is that symbolizes in Kryptonian hope. And so I think that what you're hitting on there is absolutely bang on, really, and why some Supermen have worked better than others, sort of broadly speaking. It struck me how, in some senses, whilst it doesn't cross over with Doctor Who, there's a similar appeal there in the way that it's spoken about culturally, because I've been speaking to people in the run-up to this movie, and my girlfriend, the earliest Superman that she can remember, it's not Christopher Reeve, it's Dean Cain. And when she was a little girl, that was Superman on the TV for her. And I think that it's easy to fall into a trap of assuming that everybody has sort of seen the same movies in the same order when you've lived with a franchise for like 40 years. And so to hear her and various other people in my life talk about Superman, I thought, this is like Doctor Who. This is my Superman or my Supergirl. A good friend of mine who passed away a couple of years ago, he wouldn't have a word said against George Reeves as Superman, who played him in the mid to late 50s. And to him, it was Christopher Reeve that was the pretender. He was the one that didn't cut the mustard. He's nothing compared to George Reeve. And because that was his Superman. Christopher Reeve was very much my Superman when I was a boy. So I think it could be similar in that if it's not the first actor you see in that role, it's when you watch it at a formative time or when it sort of burrows in deep.
But I think everybody's brought something to it. I did like the kind of, I don't know, was it a reboot? The one with Brandon Routh. And again, it looked very much like Christopher Reeve. I just didn't think the story was good enough, really.
Culturally, it sort of gets passed down or passed over to the next incumbent. And then if you're a child at that time, it either speaks to you or it doesn't, in the same way I think that we have in Britain with Doctor Who. And I was thinking, of all the superheroes, I'd say Superman, even though I'd say Batman is the most bankable of the superheroes. The film's been spectacularly successful, and he's certainly the one that sells more in print. It's Superman that's on the majority of like the underpants and the cuddly toys, and everybody knows that Superman logo globally, far more than any Doctor Who iconography. But I do think it has got that sort of legacy, that lineage. There are probably people out there, my friend who was the George Reeves fan, he probably argued with people who said that Kirk Allen was the Superman and there'll never be anybody better.
Yeah.
In the way that, if you speak to Ian Levine, for example, to him, William Hartnell, the definitive Doctor Who, and when he's not alone, you do speak to people who were children at that time, and for them, Hartnell was completely unmovable. And I think, well, maybe there's more in common with Superman and Doctor Who than I thought.
I did. I love that. The conversations never really change. It just goes. just rolls on throughout the generations.
No, I do feel similarly about Superman and a few other properties that I do about Doctor Who. But I think because they've been in my life for so long.
Yeah, I mean that's understandable. And they, you know, they do share some DNA as well. You know, they're an alien that protects the Earth. Essentially, it is kind of the same thing, and that kind of hope and optimism. Yeah, it's really funny because I was having this conversation with my son Josh earlier. Because I asked him if he wanted to go and see it with me.
Yeah.
And he said no, and I was really taken aback because generally with like superhero films, he will watch them. And when he asked why, he said he wasn't impressed by the trailer. And he said there was too much romance in it.
Too much romance.
He said it didn't look like a superhero movie. There was too much romance with Lois Lane. I was like, well, Josh, that is a huge part of the Superman, you know, story. I thought, what a strange observation to make.
I think it could be because of their generation, of his generation. They've grown up in a time over the last 17 years where there's been an abundance of superhero movies. But when I reflect back on them, you know, I'm a big Marvel fan as well, don't get me wrong. But when I look back on them, they tended for a long time now, for the bulk of their lifetime, that sequence of movies, they've concerned themselves, I think, with the connective tissue in between one another and one-upping each other in terms of spectacle each time, to the point where, and their grasp of characters was very slim to begin with. I'd say that only really the first Iron Man movie and the first Avengers film really brought characters together and had them sort of bounce off one another in a, if not believable way, then a relatable way. Perhaps the Tom Holland Spider-Man ones. No, even them. I think they've all been a little bit too cool for school, and the dialogue has got snappier and snappier to the point where people just trade one-liners to one another. Nobody seems to have relationships in those films, and obviously the core of something like Superman is the relationship, not just between Superman and Lois Lane, but between Superman and himself, between Kal-El and Clark too. I think they have to lock onto those things and to flip them around for the other stuff to work, so that when he is sort of punching aeroplanes and doing all the other stuff, then you really feel it, because you know that character, you understand who he is, and you've got a fair idea about what he stands for, what's important to him. Superhero films have dumbed themselves down.
Yeah, they're a lot more superficial. It's kind of let's get to the next action sequence, this next danger, and the next threat, and the next threat, and the next threat. But you know, it's interesting. I'm just thinking back. You're right. The first Captain America film, you know, how important Peggy was, and you know, Pepper Potts in the first couple of Iron Man movies, actually. Yeah, she was an integral part of Tony Stark's development.
So do you remember that recurring character in the early Marvel films, Agent Coulson, who they killed off? Everyone loved him, and he wasn't. He was like a middle-aged guy with receding hairline, and he always looked slightly awkward to be in their company, but he felt very real and very relatable. And I think that's why when they killed him off, everybody's really shocked by it, because we felt like we knew him. And I think that the Marvel Cinematic Universe sort of went downhill after that. Really.
Yeah, I think you're right. Didn't they bring him back?
Resurrected and whatnot. So I think he was sort of kept away from it all. And yeah, I think that the movies were worse off. The movie universe was worse off for it. I suppose if I was to look across to Doctor Who, who'd be an equivalent character, could be the Brigadier, somebody like that. I'm not going to say Kate Stewart, but the Brigadier. It's not a direct sort of comparison, but I think it's the nearest that we've got, that sort of disdain that the Brigadier has for the things that the various doctors get up to, and yet he's always immensely pleased to see him and not just relieved, but pleased to see him as a friend. Yeah, I think that's the nearest I can think of. But yeah, the movies got sort of lost in outdoing one another, and they forgot that the audiences relate or look for connection between the characters to make it, to flesh it all out a little bit. So I'm hoping that's what the new Superman film will have. I mean, they do seem to have masses of chemistry between the two leads. And again, that's something that Doctor Who fans know only too well. When a Doctor and a companion work well together, sometimes it works really, really well. We can take it for granted. When they don't work well together, does it show?
Oh yeah,
things go
about it.
south really quickly, don't they?
And I think Superman's the only real kind of franchise where you can say, yeah, it is about identity, but as opposed to him finding his identity with his human self, well, not his human self, he's not human, but you know what I mean, his human upbringing, what it means.
It's a duality, yeah. Because in our day-to-day lives, you know this too. We become kind of lost to one side of our lives for portions of time. I mean, depending on on who you work for example, you can feel like you're just a number to your employer. You do feel like a cog in a machine. You feel sort of atomized in some respects. But then you've got the duality of the everyday life where an adult person with their own name and tastes and wants out of life, where an adult becomes simply mum or dad, and how a child looks at us, relates to us, and needs from us. It means that we have to not put on a performance, but we're a different aspect of ourselves, and it's very easy to lose ourselves to that role as well. So I think that's what the duality in Superman. I think that's part of the appeal, and that's part of the appeal too. I could be looking too deeply into it, but I do sincerely believe that. I think that's a big part of the appeal of superheroes generally, the kind of the secret identity and the double life and that kind of thing.
I will be going to see it, and I will be reporting back. I'm planning on seeing it on the biggest screen possible, so I'm aiming for IMAX. I think this is the kind of film that you need to see big, and probably during the day, while the kids are at school.
Avoid the riff-raff. Yeah. I couldn't agree more. Yeah, obviously we live in a completely different age now. I remember going to the pictures. The first Superman movie I ever saw at the cinema was Superman 3, where Christopher Reeve's Superman teamed up with Richard Pryor to fight a sort of really nasty computer.
Yes,
cables and stuff and lightning everywhere. That
scared me. I had nightmares about that for ages.
You too.
Yeah. Obviously, I saw that a few years later. Then it was on the telly. I know, I am. Every chance I get.
Made me very, very afraid of computers for a long, long time. And the notion of artificial intelligence, that still sends a shiver down my spine. Obviously, because I remember watching The Terminator when I was a kid. Now, artificial intelligence gives us stuff like this.
Well, yeah. we just mess about with it.
We just stick around with it all the time, don't we?
Have you ever asked Alexa if she works for Skynet? Because that is a thing you can do, and she will answer, and she'll say, "No, I'm not. I don't believe you."
Well, you would say that, wouldn't you?
You would.
But I haven't done that. But you know what I did do? I went and I asked an AI over at Google about Type 40. What is the Type 40 podcast? And I had this answer come back. It said Type 40 is a Doctor Who podcast available on the Fandom Podcast Network. That's correct. It's described as a free-speaking, big-thinking podcast that delves into all aspects of the Doctor Who universe. The podcast covers the show's various incarnations, spin-offs, merchandise, and even the fandom itself. It features reviews, previews, interviews, and deep dives, along with discussions of other geeky pop culture. The podcast is available across various platforms. What would you think of that?
I think that's pretty spot on.
weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because some of this is stuff I actually say, but it's not written down anywhere. Very
It's
spooky.
listening to you.
It seems, well, somebody's got to be. wish my kids did. But the only thing it gets sort of slightly off base with is discussions of other geeky pop culture. Type 40 doesn't do that. Got other content that does do that. So I don't know.
Well, I'm disappointed that it doesn't think you're an actual king or royalty.
No. Good point. I have to try harder.
Yeah.
I have to try harder with that one by the sounds of it, don't
Just
I?
start wearing a crown. You can buy them like inflatable crowns from like party shops, or the Burger King one. You used to be able to, I don't know if you can still get them now. The cardboard one.
King for a day, yeah.
Yeah.
It could be as happy as Peter Capaldi, if I had one of those. Yeah, so when we last spoke, we caught up, didn't we, about Peter Capaldi appearing at Glastonbury, and that was fun. I enjoyed that. We also caught up on Art Detectives, and I'm happy to say, Sarah, I've been pushing ahead with Art Detectives.
Have you? How far have you got?
I'm 2 episodes deep in this now, and I'm still really enjoying it. I have to say, this is a good pick. How about you? How many have you seen?
I finished it.
You finished it?
Yeah, I finished it. Well, I said to Gary Akers that I wasn't going to binge it, but then I got to episode 5, and usually the pretty self-contained stories, something leads into the next one. And
I see.
And I thought, I can't leave it there. I'm going to have to watch it. So I lost another 45 minutes. Very satisfying conclusion, but also there's things for a second series should it get picked up. So fingers crossed.
Oh, I see. Yes, I'm in it for the duration as well. I'm really enjoying it so far. I've only seen the 2. I'll probably watch a third one in the next day or 2. It's not usually the kind of thing I gravitate towards. I tend to fall off the more I watch one and think, oh, that's all very sweet, and then I forget about it by the end of the week. But there is something about this. I like the flavour of it. I like the 2 lead actors. I think that's
It's
what it is.
these
It's simply
2,
like that.
and Stephen, I know we've said it before, but I'll say it again, he is very doctorish, and they work very well together. But it's very old school in the relationship, where he's definitely the boss, he's definitely a superior, but he's never patronizing, and she's never back chatting or trying to pull him down. They've got the banter. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. Yeah. She's
not really subservient at all. I think there's mutual respect there, which again is something that you get from Doctor Who, even when there is that a kind of a snappiness between the Doctor and a companion. You do get that there as well.
Yeah, maybe it's just that we're so starved for doctoral content. We're just seeing it everywhere.
I mean, obviously, you and I, we're both waiting with bated breath for more news about the CBeebies incarnation of the show. But until then, well, I think we can make do.
Speak for yourself.
Until then, I think we can make do with things like the Art Detectives and whatever else may turn up. Speaking of which.
Oh my God, I'm a big fan. Thank you.
All right, good to see you.
Come on, man. Nice to meet you, mate.
All the best. Take care.
That's Doctor Who. I just met Doctor Who. Stop playing with me, bro. This is the type of places we be at. We meet Doctor Who. What are you doing?
Yeah, because everything concerning Doctor Who and the parties involved with it in recent years does seem to be up the pictures, I think is the polite way of putting it. And nobody's really said anything tangible anyway that's anywhere near associated with the brand. Well, I say nobody, apart from this bloke. Now, Mark Gatiss, the sometime actor, occasional writer on the show, and lifelong Doctor Who fan, he was recently speaking to Deadline about something else completely. And they asked him about Doctor Who. What's going on with Doctor Who, Mark? What's going on? And he said, I don't think anyone knows what is going on with Doctor Who at the moment all I know is it's all about the Disney deal. Mark is the only person to comment as yet, and yet he's not written for the show in 8 years or so.
Yeah, the last thing he did was Empress of Mars. That was him. So yeah, so that would have been 2017. But yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I believe him. Let's take him at face value. We know they all talk together. You know, the good friends. I mean, especially Russell's friends with Stephen Moffat, Chris Chibnall. You know, there's a select group of them. But yeah, it does feed into that. We've got to get this spin-off out of the way first, before anything else gets decided. And obviously, and it must make things difficult because obviously we've spoke about it before that Disney are done, but they've still got to be seen to be promoting this show that's on the streaming platform. But wherever Doctor Who is still on Disney, people can't really ask around.
Mark Gatiss being a lot more loose in his association with the series compared to even Stephen Moffat, who's at least he's written a couple of episodes in recent years, so that he's still that 1 degree of separation away. Mark Gatiss is considerably further, I think, so he can perhaps be a little bit more candid and pass comment without any repercussions because he's not under contract in any way, shape or form. I mean, there are a lot of people out there who would love Mark Gatiss to come back to Doctor Who, either playing Doctor Who himself, as he has done in the past there back in 1999 for the Doctor Who night thing, or as a potential showrunner. And I've never been that sold on the idea of Mark Gatiss as showrunner of Doctor Who. I've always felt that his sensibilities are too close to some of the other guys that have done it, but I do think that having him associated with the series, whether it's writing for it in print or on TV, speaking about it, he makes some great documentaries, Mark Gatiss.
He does, yeah.
Or whether he's acting in it. Yeah, he's just tied to the show enough that Deadline would ask him about it. He's about to appear in a support role as part of Marvel's Fantastic Four film, which I think is out a couple of weeks after Superman. He plays a talk show host interviewing the Fantastic Four in the 1960s. So sounds like a fun idea. I don't think it'll do much for him, for his profile. But it's a fun idea, I think, to see Doctor Who actors turning up in things like that. It's not something that I think is necessarily cheesy.
It's not going to entice me to watch it. I'll wait for it.
No. But in light of what I've seen with Art Detectives, how much I'm enjoying that, and various of the shows like it, what I do find a lot more enticing is this new series that's coming to British television in the next week or so. So UK TV has confirmed on July the 16th they're going to be releasing this completely original series. It's called Bookish, and it is the brainchild of Mark Gatiss, listed here as an Emmy award-winning writer. That would probably be for Sherlock, wouldn't it? Which he co-created with Stephen Moffat and Stephen Thompson. We're now several years on from that.
This came on my radar just a few days ago, actually. So I'm glad that you brought this up. Because now I need something after Art Detectives. This appeals to me because Mark Gatiss, he's a very clever man. He's very intellectual, very learned. So whatever's in this, it's going to be well researched. It's an historical, because I think it's set post-war London. So I know for a fact that he'll have researched that.
And the synopsis says it's set in post-war London, 1946, and features Mark Gatiss as Gabriel Book, an antiquarian bookshop owner who uses his knowledge and wit to assist the police in solving mysterious crimes. There's nothing there they're not reinventing the wheel with any of that, are they? But I think it's with shows like this, it's the production values, it's the tone, it's the way it makes us feel when we watch them. Obviously, it helps if we like the actors who are in them too, particularly character actors that tend to lead these things. So there's Mark Gatiss sort of standing front and center there as the lead. I don't recall seeing him lead anything like this before. He's 58 years old now, so I think he's probably going to come into his own more as a character actor in the way that maybe that Hugh Laurie did, for example, or Martin Clunes. But us being Doctor Who fans, of course, we're looking, aren't we, for a little bit more. And yeah, in the cast list, we do find there's Paul McGann there with a recurring role.
Okay, I'm sold.
In this series.
I'm sold. If I wasn't already, I am now.
Everybody's favourite Eighth Doctor, of course, Paul McGann, professional, handsome person, I think, as he's seen. And an old friend of Mark Gatiss's too. It was Mark Gatiss all the way back in 1996 who covered the making of the TV movie as part of a BBV documentary thing. It was kind of like a video diary where he was actually over there in Vancouver whilst they were making it. So clearly, Mark and Paul have known each other for 3 decades. Do you think it's a cynical attempt to get us on board?
I don't know if it's cynical, but I think he knows Doctor Who fans, and he knows there's a crossover, especially after his experience with Sherlock, that, you know, certain fans will gravitate to things like this because we like, you know, the intellectual challenge, and you know, and if you've got the good charismatic actors, so I think it's probably hoping to kind of rope us in. Or maybe it does sound like that is kind of a passion project for him. So you will just call upon those, you know, who you trust, your friends. So there's probably a little bit of that as well. But yeah, but it's working because I'm interested, you're interested. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people listening that are going to be interested.
It says that the character of Bookish, played by Mark Gatiss, is in a what they used to call a lavender marriage. So the lead character, is gay, but he's married on the surface to a woman called Trotty. And so that's they say here it's going to add a layer of intrigue and social commentary to the series. It's already been renewed for series 2 as well, so they must be very confident.
Normally, hearing the words, you know, social commentary, that would kind of fill me with horror, or I'd be kind of a bit wary. However, I think in this case, Mark Gatiss can do subtle, he can do nuance, and I genuinely feel like this will just be part of character development, and you know, it's not going to be that we tune into a murder mystery series and we just get everything else, because he is not Russell T Davies.
Definitely
so
not.
I'm really intrigued. I'm intrigued to see the relationship between that. I mean, the actress that plays his wife, I've seen her in a few things. She does a lot of like period dramas. She's very good. So yeah, it's just, to me, this all just sounds wonderful. Can't wait to see it.
Should we take a look at the trailer now?
Yes.
Oh, my name's Book. Books. You must be here about the job. Jack, this is Trotty, my wife.
Hello. Well, they found something in suspicious circumstances.
My favorite kind of circumstances. Start at the beginning, Inspector, and leave nothing out, especially if it's salacious, gory, or vaguely scandalous.
Doesn't this look like something out of Quatermass?
Yeah.
Something that Hammer would have made in the 50s, or one of those BBC shows, Nigel Neal stuff. So you've got a building site, skeletons being uncovered, salacious, scandalous, or gory. This doesn't look like cozy tea time stuff so much. This doesn't look like even Art Detectives, you know, where there's like swearing and things in Art Detectives. This looks a little more rich, a little bit more colourful.
I think you're right. Yeah, and again, we know kind of GATISS's pedigree with stuff like this, because we know he's very good with horror as well as sci-fi and everything like that. So I'm pretty sure he's already drawing on Hammer horror and Quatermass. You know, if you're getting them vibes, I think it is deliberate. I think he's really playing on that.
There's a guy in the background there wearing a tin hat, an ARP warden's tin hat. This is this looks so much fun. Let's look at some of
With a
it.
puzzle.
What exactly is it you do?
I sell books.
Yeah, but that's not all, is it?
Shh. Sorry, thinking.
A clue. We like those.
It's murder.
That's a dirty lie.
Oh, bravo.
Haven't heard that one in a while.
How do you help the police exactly, Mr. Brooke?
What a supporting cast. That was Jolie Richardson then, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Oh yeah, there's quite a few faces I'm recognising.
The production values look really, really high on this. I mean, I'm never really sure when I'm watching stuff like this, Sarah, how convinced I am that I'm for example, 1946. You have to kind of accept, don't you, that it's a bit of a costume party, and that's probably part of the fun.
Yeah, again, I mean, I don't mind that because I love any kind of like historical piece of drama. So yeah, I'm pretty happy just to go with it.
Quite a lavish series for UTV. They make a lot of their own original comedies and documentaries. I'm not sure how much original drama they do make, but they had quite a success with Toby Whithouse and his remake of Bergerac about 4 or 5 months ago. I didn't catch that. I kind of wish I had have done that, because this looks really, really good.
It does, yeah. I'm saying it kind of passed me by, and it was only because I'd heard it was Toby Whithouse. I thought, oh, actually, I might give that a go. Well, add it to the list.
Add it to the list. Let's check out some more.
And the fiddly bits.
And we wouldn't want anything to go wrong, now would we?
Quite a lot of angry ladies out there.
You only live once, but if you do it right, once is enough.
They've all been in Doctor Who, so I've seen Daniel Mace was there for a start. Tim McInnery from Blackadder, who was in Planet of the Youth. I've just seen Amanda Drew in there, who's a friend of ours. I'm pretty sure she has been in Doctor Who. I think she's done some Doctor Who audios. And there's Jolie Richardson again. She'd be a fantastic Rani or something, wouldn't she? I don't know. This looks, it looks as if Gatiss has called up everybody and anybody he possibly could to give this a real lift.
This looks really fun. It really does, and I'm sure he is channeling his inner Doctor. That clip of him saying, "Shh, I'm thinking." It's very, very
That
Doctor.
was really, really Doctor. Let's watch that bit back.
You only live once, but if you do it right, once is enough.
Who? Shakespeare.
Mae West.
Bookish coming soon to you and Alibi. I do. I think this looks really fun. I first heard about it nearly a year ago, but there was no imagery, there were no pictures, there were no real details apart from Mark Gatiss will play a gay detective, which I'll be honest, it didn't exactly inspire a great deal of confidence in me. But this does look like it's got a lot of passion, a lot of flavour.
Not taking itself too seriously. It's not like a stuffy kind of series. So yeah, I think this is going to be just a really good watch. It feels like it's being very playful, but also very clever as well, and so like lifting the best elements of Sherlock. Obviously, Sherlock was set in the modern day, but it's got that kind of pace of it, you know, that fast pacedness of it, and the snappiness and the but still make it feels modern, even though it's set in the past. So yeah, so I think as long as the plots don't get too convoluted and too contrived, like the end of Sherlock kind of did.
I think it was a victim of its own success in many respects. It had got far, far too big, whereas something like Bookish, tucked away there on You and Alibi, beginning on July the 16th, I think this could find an audience for itself. I genuinely do. And I'll be watching. Yeah, I'll be watching, and I'll be getting back to you, Sarah, what I think of this.
This could be the perfect time for this series to be released. That Doctor Who's not on anymore. There's going to be a load of fans looking for the
Homeless.
the next thing.
Emotionally homeless.
Emotionally homeless. This could be the perfect outlet. The fact that it's already been renewed for a second series. I think that shows the strength. They seem to have got faith in this.
It's probably quite expensive to mount as well. I would say that selling, for example, 20 episodes of something rather than 10 internationally to something like PBS Masterpiece would make more sense overseas than a smaller amount in Britain. I think that's probably why Art Detectives has been recommissioned as well, because they can simply sell more episodes and make some more money back, and then perhaps make another batch. I described it before as proof of concept. That's why the recent seasons of Doctor Who were made almost back to back like that, and bolted together with a spin-off to say, okay, here's a package as a proof of concept. We'll see how it goes. I think that's more common in broadcasting than fans of simply one show, like many of us know. I think that in the age of multi-channel TV, particularly where you can have the same show turn up on lots of different channels may be owned by the same sort of conglomerate or network, but they'll put them wherever they think they can get either a broader audience or even incrementally, sort of few there, a few there, a few there, a few there. I think the nature of the way that it's marketed has completely changed. Of course, this will eat into my Dallas time. But
I think it's a sacrifice that you're willing to make.
For Paul McGann certainly, because it's to see Paul McGann turn up in anything, looking as charismatic as ever, charismatic, enigmatic, all the matics. He's got it all, hasn't he? And guys, he's annoyingly good. Okay, so what have we covered this time? We've covered Mark Gatiss. We've covered Superman. We've covered the Art Detectives again.
Again, people are going to start thinking we're being paid.
This is we've been bought. We've become shills for the Art Detectives after all this time. Yes, yet more free and easy conversation with Starry-Eyed Girl and myself. Who is free and who is easy? Well, that's up to you to decide.
I'm not even going there.
Actually, I am pretty easy, to be fair. But it's lovely to catch up with you as always, Sarah. I don't know if the good weather's going to stick around. What do you think? Is it going to last out 24, 48 hours, or 72? What do you think?
I'm going to say 48. We'll see how we go. But yeah, it usually fades away in the week. The kids finish school this week, so undoubtedly the weather's going to get worse, because that's always the case. It's always beautiful while they're at school.
Yeah, I've got plenty to get stuck into, I don't mind telling you, and we've got another edition of the Type 40 podcast to record. Any day now, another great story from the series past, reviewed by us and some more panelists. I can't wait to start talking about that, because I am halfway through.
And I picked it. Is this the one that I picked?
It is.
Yay! Okay.
You'll find out about all of that soon, as well as the comeback for Type 40 Live after our half-term break. Yes, we will be back with more live streamed nonsense for you, with the gloves off, as always, as we head into the rest of the summer. They're talking about the past, the present, and the future of everything Doctor Who. So stay tuned. Make sure you're notified and subscribed, and all that. So much Doctor Who, and so little time, so little bandwidth. New Doctor Who not being in production, even if it's just for 6 months or 12 months, it does free us up a little to look back at the old or the ancient, and to sort of cherry pick and to start maybe any rewatches that we've always meant to and never got round to. So my rewatch of all of New Who, I'm definitely still going to do that. It's going to kick off in the next week or so, Sarah. Once I've watched that particular classic story, we'll see how that works out. So I am going to race back to the internet and get on the blower to my local cinemas and find out who's going to let me in. See Superman. Hopefully I won't get sat next to anybody who is updating their social media right up until the credits begin to roll, because it gets really just like that. It puts me in a really, really bad mood. And I don't want to be in a bad mood because I've been looking forward to that film for a couple of years. So yeah, let us know what you think. I mean, are we onto something there? The similarities between, if not the character of Superman and the Doctor, then maybe the appeal of the legacy that sort of crosses generations in that way. Who was your Superman? Bookish, has that now made your radar? Will you be looking out for that there on You and Alibi Art Detectives? Have you got on board with that yet, as well as a Superman? Are you going to go and see it? Let us know there. We'll see you in the comments more soon. Speak to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.